Schon gar nicht bei
Boom, we're live, everybody. Hey, I didn't think we were going to go live there for a second, but hey, here we are. We just went live. We just did it just like that. Good to see everybody. Thanks for joining us here today. Red TV in Conversation. I'm Peter Clark. And hey, don't let all those video clips at the beginning with the long hair fool you. It is me. That was 1987, Slippery When Wet. All had to go. It had to go. Here we are. Hey, listen, super pumped to have you here today. Because I get to speak to a lot of cool people, and this person over here is one of them. So in the meantime, hey, thank you for showing up. Appreciate it very, 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 very much. Along the bottom there is how you can reach me. If you like what you see, this is the only ask right here, everybody. If you like what you see, and we try to amplify good stories, we try to amplify people doing good in the world, we try to amplify all kinds of things, whether it's destinations, locations, people, and those kinds of fun things. And if you like that, please like and share with your network, and it would be super appreciated. We would love to hear from you, always, and we always get some great comments in the comments. If you have a question today for our guests, of course you can put some comments there or ask a question and so on. Hey, listen, we're going to be talking about something really cool today. It's actually a little different than normally some of the things I talk about. But I think it's so important, and it's not just for our particular region or the area that I'm talking about. We're talking about a global industry of television and filmmaking, and the economic impact that has around the world, and especially in the last couple of years, where content and consumption of content has gone just to another level, obviously. And so the creation of more content, whether it's digital, television, and film, is everywhere in the world, and everyone's duking it out for those dollars for film and movie productions to come to their location and to their city and so on. And guess what? I happen to be sitting in the heart and center of pretty much Hollywood North. Someone's going to argue with me, but I'm going to tell you that this part of the world here in Western Canada is just so hot right now, and there's so much going on in the world when it comes to television and movie making and these kinds of things. So let me introduce a guest and get right into it here today. Really short, because he has so much to talk about. There is just so much to talk about here. He's the Vice President, Creative Industries, Operations, and Film Commissioner at Calgary Economic Development, Calgary Economic Development in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And we're going to talk about why Calgary and their surrounding areas is one of the world's premier locations for when it comes to television and filmmaking and all things good. Hey, we even got a really cool Stampede Marshal coming this year. We'll talk about that a little bit as well, just to tell you who's here and who's going to be hanging out with us in the next little while. So hey, without further ado, let's bring this very cool guy. I had a chance to meet with him twice recently in two different events. We'll talk about that as well. Please welcome Luke Azevedo. That's what I say. Some people say Vito. I say Azevedo. Tell me what it is.
Azevedo's fine. That's the way it'd be pronounced.
That's the way it's done. There you go. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you.
You as well, Peter.
Hey, thanks for showing up, and I appreciate it. Like I said, we ran into each other in a couple destinations here, or events. Same destination, Banff, Alberta. If anyone's ever heard of Banff, Alberta, all about, it's in the heart of the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, skiing, all that kind of stuff. Beautiful, beautiful destination. So we ran into each other a couple times talking about filmmaking and television production and all these kinds of stuff. So before we get into all of that, always have to start with a simple question. You, your family, everyone healthy? Everyone okay?
Everybody's good. Thankfully, we've all kind of made our way through this last couple and a half years and came out the other side in good shape. So happy about that for sure. Thanks for asking.
Yes, absolutely. Well, hey, listen, it's health is wealth. I know this personally. Just
Yeah.
trust me, I know this for sure. Health is wealth. I think, like I said, what I wanted to make sure is that we put it in context here. Again, it's obviously we're going to be talking about our particular city and so on, but the economics of it all and the play of movie and television in a lot of communities is going to be similar to the stories that we're going to be talking about today. So I want to make sure that everyone knows that this is applicable to your community as well and so on. If you want to connect with Luke, best way to do that along the bottom there here at LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, you can reach out to him through LinkedIn. And of course, you can go to the Calgary Economic Development, which is 𝘂𝗶𝘃𝗵.com. So you can go right there and track this good-looking young man down. Hey, let's talk about where we just we met each other just recently here, because I think it's really a cool starting point. We saw each other at something called the Banff World Media Festival, which is kind of cool. I know you, and you're really plugged into that. Let's talk about that really quickly, about the Banff World Media Festival. Why is it important to have those kinds of I guess festivals and conferences come to Calgary and come to Southern Alberta? Why is it so important that we have the media of the world come here?
Well, there's a bunch of reasons. Right now, the first is that we actually got to get together and people came and gathered in a location. That hasn't happened in a long time. Banff has been online for the last 2 years. And for us here, it gives us an opportunity, first and foremost, to showcase our area. Being in Banff is an incredible, backdrop. There is very few places like it on the planet. And having the World Media Festival there means that we are gathering with decision makers from all over the world in our backyard. So we want to take an opportunity to ensure that we're showcasing everything that we can, not just the vistas, but also the people that reside here, the talented storytellers, our next generation of storytellers, as well as producers and directors and folks that have great ideas. So it put us in a real interesting position, especially this year, with all the activity that's happened in Alberta over the year, record-setting amount of production done here, some of the biggest projects in the world occurring here, and our ability to showcase to the globe that we're not only can we look after those projects, but we can put ourselves in a position where we're excelling at being able to support projects of that level and that nature. So for us, welcoming the world into our area here is extremely important. Putting ourselves in a position where it's pretty clear pretty quickly that Alberta is a location of choice. Now with, as of March 19th last year, we saw a transition into a new type of incentive that took the cap off, which then made us competitive nationally and internationally. So it changed our world completely, and we certainly wanted to be able to showcase it this year. And we were a bit of the talk of the town while we were there. So I think it was an important year to have this come back around.
100%. I just wanted to say 100% because, again, I just saw so many production companies and television broadcasters and producers and agents and just everyone from the industry itself were there, and again shone a light on this whole area for that. The other thing you said, we had to gather, and you and I met at the gathering as well, which is another awesome reason to get together and gather out in Banff. Talk about that really briefly as well, because I know you attended that, and having some of these giant brands from around the world attend through the gathering. Again, another way to bring a spotlight to the city and to the professionalism of making films and television and these kinds of things. Again, let's talk about the gathering real quick. Why was that important for you to be out at the gathering with all those big brands?
Well, I think a couple of reasons. Part of our portfolio here at Calgary Economic Development under the creative industries umbrella is digital media. So, Tori Romano, who is our business development manager of digital media, and I attended the gathering so that we could engage with some of these large corporate organizations that have a potential of wanting to be in the area. And so again, we got an opportunity in Banff, mind you, a little colder at that time, a little, but at the same time, they got an opportunity to see where we live. They got an opportunity for us to showcase some of the folks and some of the organizations here that we feel also have an impact globally. So it gave us an opportunity to have those discussions. It gave us an opportunity to listen to people who have made their careers on being the biggest and the brightest and the best. And so it's an amazing event that Communo, an organization here in Calgary, produces every year and have been for a long time. The last iteration of this was a bit of a hybrid, mostly online, and the year previous too was totally online. So again, this opportunity for everybody to come back and gather in a location like Banff, have conversations around why it's important to be there, why it's important to have these brands showcasing themselves in our backyard and identifying to us what it takes to get to that global level. Sure doesn't open up a lot of doors for our community here to have those conversations and to see what it takes to actually move to the next step.
Yeah, well said. Well said. It's so true. It's just another great opportunity for us to showcase all of the resources that we have here when it comes to not only just hosting great events, but again, being able to attract, if you will, those dollars, those productions from around the world. And it's not just here in Canada, from around the world. Let's jump into that real quick. I think just a little backdrop for Calgary Economic Development. Let me play a little clip. I took the liberty of finding a quick little clip about Calgary Economic Development, just talking about the city of Calgary really briefly, so that we can keep everything in context of some of the things we're going to be talking about when it comes to film, television, and these kinds of things, which is more in your world of responsibility, shall we say. But Calgary Economic Development is the umbrella that you're under, and I think it's really important for us to kind of put it all in perspective. Let's have a quick little listen to this video clip, a little bit about the city of Calgary, everybody, and a little bit about Calgary Economic Development.
There's a reason why I'm in Calgary. I think it's like an excitement almost, like an entrepreneurial spirit.
We've made a blood test to detect breast cancer.
We're destigmatizing mental health.
We actually won an Xbox exclusive partnership.
Purposefully creating change for women and women in business.
We're actually the original family that brought Vietnamese food to Calgary.
Really?
Yeah. We've been developing new tech for 15 years, and people walk in here and are surprised that this is happening here.
We're out to do great things in the world. We're connecting people with causes that they care about.
The small business community has been really welcoming.
I've been in tech in Calgary for 25 years now. It's so night and day different.
If you're not cool and you don't care about the world, then I don't work for you.
We say yes to ideas. We all rally behind people who have those ideas.
The more you build here, the more people want to move here.
Once people visit, they really don't want to go back where they came from.
You can fly, fish, golf, and ski sometimes within a week.
There you go. Met a lot of talented Calgarians who gave me tools and tips and tricks.
There's this feeling that we actually care for one another.
People work really hard here, but are also really friendly.
We're seeing a growth in VR, we're seeing a growth in technology.
Look, you can do what you want here. The sky's the limit.
We are building an ecosystem. We are building a future.
Businesses that are looking at Calgary as a hub, I mean, we've kind of got it all.
It's a great place to live and grow.
In Calgary, you are one or two conversations away from the biggest investment you'll get.
This community, this province is wide open.
They're interested in you as an entrepreneur, and they want to see you succeed here.
I mean, that's our backyard, my friend.
Yeah, I think that's the impression that we want people to have of this city. I think there's forever we have been historically an economy that was based on resource. The transition has happened, and it's been happening for a while. And now we're at a point where we're starting to see a growth pattern that is now considered on the tech side one of the fastest growing locations in North America for tech and innovation. And so as we continue to develop the infrastructure, the opportunities, there's leveraging the dollars that are available through government and private sector to bring in those VC monies and just the investment that's happening in this city in those areas is extreme. As well as something that was an innovation piece that we did. One of the things that's obviously part of this transition in our economy here in Alberta is film and television.
Yes.
I mean, we doubled the amount of production that we'd done in the previous year, calculable year, which would have been 2019. We doubled the amount of production that we did in 2019 to over $500 million, which even a few years back, we would have looked at each other and laughed, thinking that we could have got to that point. We also saw, what brings confidence to an area beyond just seeing the investment and the shows that are being done here is the amount of organizations that are global that then come into your area and make a home here. And we've seen some significant investment that's happened with organizations that have a global presence that are now in Calgary in a much more significant way than they have been.
Yeah.
We've also seen investment from those that were here that are Canadian that has grown as well. So for us, it's beyond just the amount of work that we do. It is what starts to happen in the growth of the ecosystem. Who starts to be part of that ecosystem? How do we grow? How do we have a global presence? How do we start to establish ourselves as not just a location that you can go to if your first location of choice doesn't come out? How do we become that location of choice? So I think, from our perspective, it's extremely important for us to understand that, as we move through this growth cycle and we continue to hopefully be on that growth, trajectory, that there's a few things that we need to take into consideration, which initially was, what's your incentives? Are you globally competitive? And we are now. Secondly, it's what's your crew base? What are your human resources? How good are they? How deep are you? How many projects can you do at one time successfully? Thirdly, it was about infrastructure, not just specifically about, studios and sound stages, but also who's there with equipment, who's there with technology, who's there with advanced technology that gives them the opportunity to utilize whatever systems they want to create these unique outcomes that we're seeing. So that's all good. And then we start talking about some stuff that makes some significant impact moving forward, and that to be considered one of those locations of choices that you have to have in place. And first and foremost, they look at your equity, diversity, and inclusion strategies and moving forward. And none of us are at a level. I don't think there's any place that we can point to that says that you're there, you've achieved it. This is a journey that doesn't end, and we have to concentrate on ensuring that film and television, digital media, and entertainment is accessible to everyone in our community. And that's extremely important. And it's, it's played a part, and now it's not just playing a part. It's got to be part of the conversation all the time from the beginning. It's not something that we see as an afterthought. That doesn't work. And then, ultimately there's the last piece is around sustainability. Right. How do we start to ensure that this industry creates an environment that's going to, at some point, hit net neutral? We have studios and streamers that are indicating to us that between 2023 and 2025, there is going to be a substantive push to ensure we're leaving less of a footprint as we're working through our programs. And with the amount of production that's being done in the world right now, unprecedented numbers, that becomes a big impact. So there's technologies out there that are being tested. There's technologies out there that are being implemented, and we want to be part of it. We want to be, we don't want to be on the chasing stream here. We want to be at the front of this, and we want to make sure that we're an inclusive, sustainable, rich industry that enables everyone that wants to be part of it to be part of it. That we have the infrastructure, the technology, and these world-class talents and crews that are able to do the projects. And I think this past year has showcased it, and I think this year is going to showcase it even more. and that we're going to continue to go in that route. And we want to make sure that we're as welcoming as we possibly can be to anybody that wants to participate.
Oh, anyone that comes to our city, they always say that, just like in the video there. It's like when they come, they go like, I didn't know that was here. They know you for one thing. And again, we're known as a very resource rich part of the world. But it goes way beyond that. These, obviously in 2022 and moving forward and so on. I do want to acknowledge in that video, there's a lot of reference and whether it's through some of the clips, some of the imagery and so on, but even in the languaging that's there as well about, Indigenous peoples and the connection to the land that we have here in Western Canada and so on. And today, I just want to acknowledge, of course, today is National Indigenous Peoples Day. So I definitely want to make sure that we acknowledge that. I'll put some information along the bottom there to recognize the fact that we do want to celebrate the heritage and of all First Nations and recognize, the land that we're on and Treaty 7 and so on. So I have some information on the bottom there that I wanted to share. I want to make sure that, again, that's a very big part of not only our culture, our history and so on, but like you said, economic development. And then when it goes into film and television and so on, we want to make sure that everyone is represented properly. And specifically, we're referring to right now Indigenous peoples, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're on Treaty 7 lands, along with Métis Region 3. And we're in a position here where, we are 100 years of history in film and television in this province. And I can guarantee you that it was our Indigenous folks that first attracted Hollywood into Alberta. They played a big part, that community has played a big part in how the industry has grown. And those Indigenous storytellers that are part of our communities here are just are amazing. The type of work that comes out of this province from the Indigenous community is outstanding. It's world class, and so we want to continue to ensure that we support and enable that work and create an environment where we can be allies to that work and grow as we're on these journeys. So my organization, Calgary Economic Development, has been on a journey on equity, diversity, inclusion, and access for a while now. We're learning. And we're asking a lot of questions. We're engaging. We're trying to be allies to the communities and ensuring that we're representing them in an appropriate and authentic manner. And lots of conversations and ensuring that they're welcome into anything that we're doing and that these are reciprocal conversations. It's not just us accessing information and taking it off to wherever to utilize it. We want to ensure that these are authentic partnerships and that we're seen as good community partners. And that goes across all our sectors, including film and television, and ensuring that we're there to support as the support is needed and asked for. So, it's important for us as Albertans and Calgarians to recognize where we live and that we're all Treaty 7 peoples, and we have to be there for each other.
Absolutely. Well said, my friend. And, again, as I said at the beginning of this show, this applies right across the world, everybody. I mean, let's face it, that's probably a common conversation in many parts of the world. So it's a sign of respect. It's a sign of acknowledgement, the culture, the history, and a chance to reflect and look back and then try, as you said, how do we figure out to work together and move forward? And I think that was super, super well said. I appreciate that, Luke. That's fantastic. About, again, want to celebrate National Indigenous Peoples Day here, June 21st, 2022. It's actually every June 21st, everybody, in Canada specifically. I'm not sure in other parts of the world. Hey, let's talk about a little bit more about Calgary Economic Development per se. Again, I want to focus again on film and television because, of course, that's what you are responsible for and so on. And again, it was a record-breaking year. You talk about $500 million. And, again, with the last 2 years where digital content, people consuming so much content now, the desire to create more and more content, more stories being told, is there. And I think we're able to compete with that from around the world. Let's talk about just Calgary and Southern Alberta in general. I mean, you talked about a lot of the economic reasons why companies want to look here. Obviously, do we have the people? Do we have the economic incentives? All of those things. Well, what other things can you talk about for Calgary? Why someone should come to think about storytelling here in Calgary and Southern Alberta? What is it about this special place?
Well, I think there's a few things. I mean, we're a vista location for sure. You have the mountains, the Badlands, the prairies, the foothills, and 2 municipalities of over 1 million people, all within a 3-hour radius. Geographically, that's very unique globally. It just is. So that's number one. Number two is the film-friendly environment that we have here. There is no way that we could have pulled off what we did this past season and in seasons prior to without the film-friendly initiative that we work with the city. And having the ability to do the things that are necessary to get these projects at such a large size and scope that are getting critical acclaim already all over the world, to be able to enable them to do what they need to do. And so that's not an easy task. And, you know, our constituents face it. There's times where roads are closed. There's times where things may go sideways. I think the thing to consider all the time is the value of the outcome of this. So when the world's looking in, trying to make a decision whether you can accommodate what they're looking for, beyond the things that we talked about initially, is this an actual accessible location? And I did an interview a little while back with Rose Lamb, who's the executive producer of The Last of Us here in Alberta. And her comment was that she doesn't think that she could have done this show in the manner that they needed to in Toronto or Vancouver or other places because of what they needed and how it was facilitated and how well the city worked with the production to try to accommodate the needs. And so I think what that does is that's the best marketing that you can get. She goes back into the world, which is into her, into her world, which is got a very big footprint, and starts having a conversation in regards to the excellent experience that she had here. So I think that's what starts to percolate as you get to the decision makers. We spend a lot of time in Los Angeles and New York and, Berlin and Cannes and Toronto and Vancouver and Montreal, just, going to the locations on the planet, and don't forget New York, on the locations on the planet where decisions are being made for production. And it's film, television, gaming, digital media. All of these things are starting to play a part and all work under the same umbrella for all intents and purposes. So there is blurred lines now. And to your point earlier, one of the other things that gets taken into consideration is the fact that we now have the largest consumption of content that has ever happened in our world was during the time of the pandemic, of the shutdown, when people were at home. So what you saw was, for 3 months, production companies, studios, and streamers not being able to do production. And at the same time, you saw the most content consumption ever. So that's a bit contrary. So what's happened now, since the point that production started, is not only are you compensating for all of the projects that were watched or all the content that was watched, and you're making new content to satisfy your subscriber base and to grow your subscriber base, but you're also now making new content to keep them there. And then you're looking forward, saying, should anything of this nature ever happen again, how do we ensure that we have content in place that's going to allow us to get through, not specifically a pandemic, but something else? So I think there's, we're seeing the most production that we've ever seen across the globe. You can tell. I mean, everywhere that has a legitimate place to do film and television and creative industries is busy. And so the busier you get, the more you've got to be able to do the work at a world-class level. I mean, we consistently hear, yeah, that's great, but what did you do today?
Right.
Because that's what it's about. I mean, at the end of the day here, it's not touting what we did, and the projects that have come in here is great. I mean, it's wonderful to be able to market your area that did The Revenant, that did Inception, that did Interstellar, Brokeback Mountain, Ghostbusters. I mean, all those things are fantastic, and we use them to ensure people understand the level of production that's done here. But moving forward, you've got to be in a position where you're looking at, what are the new technologies that are being utilized? How is this now different? What are the needs that happen since we came out of a pandemic and now things have changed in the production process? What's the pipeline of goods that are necessary to ensure that things can stay in the manner that they can? How's travel work? Can we get into the area? Can we travel through? Is it safe? Is there, the opportunity to have all those? And then we start talking about culture. because now you're sending executives and A-list stars into an area that they need to be for 9 or 10 months. And luckily for us, as you saw in that video a little bit, and other videos that we've made, is that it's not just about being the gateway to Banff and the Rocky Mountains. It's about the culture that happens here, being the city with the most pathways for walking and biking and such in North America, with over 1,000 kilometers here, being one of the world's cleanest big cities, being one of the best places on the planet to live, being in the top 10 places to live and be a movie maker. I mean, there's so many accolades from the city itself that helps us ensure that those that are thinking about us have an opportunity to come here and see what this is actually about.
Yeah. Hey, super well said. I mean, again, there's so much there to unpack, but really the messaging there is, like you said, it's a constant pressure from around the world to produce content, and there are other locations around the world who have been traditionally known as those locations, whether it is in Southern California or New York, or like you said, those other locations. But when you just mentioned some of those movies that you just talked about, I don't think most people know, when they see some of those beautiful locations. Kevin Costner's been out here before doing the work. Right, there you go. Right, and he's talked about that many times. I'm going to play a little clip actually, because we're pretty excited about what's coming up in the near future about that. But when people understand that this is a location that really can represent an international backdrop for so many stories to be told, I think it's just hands down a privilege to be in this environment. And I think, again, what we're talking about is really in most cities and so on, that you want to celebrate what's going on in your city so that you can attract storytellers to come and talk about what interests them with your backdrop. Again, Southern Alberta and Calgary, just an unbelievable place for that. So mentioning Mr. Costner, I mean, we got some pretty exciting news to talk about, but it's already been announced and stuff. I'm going to play a quick little clip. I'm sure everyone's heard of that fine young gentleman. Yellowstone, I mean, my goodness, how unbelievable is that? That series is, I think it's the most watched television series last year ever, like of all time, like something of that nature. I forgot the stat. I should be clear with my stat, but something ridiculous of how big this is internationally. And I know he's been out here, like you said, a couple times. And so we have the Calgary Stampede out here, everybody. And I know the Calgary Economic Development, that's a huge monster of a global event that attracts people to Calgary and Southern Alberta, is the Calgary Stampede, which is basically considered the greatest outdoor show in the world. And, we're excited to have some people come join us. And of course, hey, let me just play this little clip that, again, from Calgary Economic Development. I think this one actually comes from your website. This fine young man wants to show up a little bit. Check this out, everybody, for our marshal this year for the parade.
Hello, Calgary, Alberta. I just got to tell you how nice it felt to be selected as the parade marshal. You don't see those kind of things coming, and I'm not sure what the list looked like. I'm glad I was on it. I have a lot of fond memories of being in Calgary. It's made a big difference to me in my life to make open range there and let him go. It's one of the beautiful spots, and the world kind of focuses on Calgary, this thing that started a long time ago. Celebrating Western heritage, and so on July 8th I'll be there, and I'm really honored to have to be a part of what you guys have done for so long and carry on a tradition. So see you at the parade, okay?
How cool is that?
Well, super cool. Is he saying it with palm trees in the background?
That did elude me. I heard the ocean in the background. But I mean, obviously, he is passionate about it. There's no doubt about it. He wouldn't come out here twice to put his name on those beautiful movies unless he felt and obviously he felt compelled to do that. And then, of course, now coming here as the marshal obviously tells us that he loves this area of the world.
He does. And I think one of the things that's been missed so far, and hopefully it doesn't get missed for too much longer, is that the honorary parade marshal is going to be John Scott. who is an iconic member of our production community here in Alberta, and he's going to be alongside. And obviously during Open Range and and others, John's been a participant. So from our perspective, we look at not just Kevin Costner, but we look at Sir Anthony Hopkins, we look at Brad Pitt, we look at DiCaprio, we look at Chris Nolan, who's been here multiple times. So it's one of the things that sort of defines an area. It's one thing to be able to access a show or an individual and bring them here for a one-time deal. It's another thing to have them come back. And then another thing to have them come back again and to do different events. So it's not just about film and TV. It's not just about business. It's about something else. It's about an iconic event that happens here that's known globally. And that brings over 1 million people through the turnstiles at the greatest show on earth, and creates this environment that really does showcase Calgary for those 10 days. It's the biggest 10-day event that happens in Canada, and generates a lot of attention and revenue and impact on this city, and has a long-standing tradition that to have him and John being on those horses at the same time coming down the parade route with, in a good year would bring 300,000 Calgarians to that route to watch the parade. So it's been, I think this year is going to be a big event, and it's great to see him come back and participate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of all years, too. I mean, Yellowstone in his back pocket. I mean, it's one thing from his other movies, but Yellowstone is literally the top of the world right now. And his character in that. So to see him, on a horse participating in that event it just shows that it's at a world-class level. It attracts those eyeballs, and it attracts that kind of attention and that kind of passion as well. Hey, I just wanted to acknowledge a couple of people tuning in, because of course they're hearing all of this. And Melody's over in the Massachusetts area. Yes, well, Melody, wow is the right answer here. There's a lot going on. There's no doubt about that. I like this as well. That's great news for the planet, sustainable efforts. I think that's really, really important. You talked about that, Luke. I think that's super important. We're talking about sustainable development goals, things like that, and so on. It is an awesome community, Melody, just so you know. Yes, it is. And thank you for acknowledging that. And hey, here's a question here for you. How does a person get in the film industry? Ask it for a friend. Hey, that sounds like a relative. That could be a relative of mine. So there you go. But I mean, there's obviously lots of ways for people to participate, but in any community, but here in Calgary or anywhere, if someone that's connected like you are, what do you recommend to people that are looking to tell stories, produce, all that kind of stuff?
Well, there's a couple of routes. So first and foremost, it depends on what level of knowledge base and integration into the industry they already have. So if you have somebody that's got experience and they're looking to come to Calgary to make it their home, then obviously our unions and guilds are the first point of connection. Whether you're an existing member somewhere else around the world or in Canada, or whether you want to start from the baseline, their permittee status, doing things like set etiquette courses and a variety of different things that get you just acclimatized to what that environment looks like, extremely important, and will help you long term. The other thing is that there's a lot of, we talk to a lot of folks now, even before high school, because people are making decisions on the direction of their careers now when they're in middle school. So we like to have conversations with the post-secondaries and beforehand, just to ensure that people know what those access points are and where you can get involved. So we have here in Calgary, a group called the Calgary Society of Independent Filmmakers, CSIF, which does courses, rents equipment, does mentorship, does a variety of things that help those that are looking to get into the industry an opportunity to start learning at that ground level. It takes somebody, just so people are aware, it takes somebody approximately 2 years of being on some type of a set to actually be at a point where you could consider them feasible to put on a decent sized production. So it's going to take some while of development and training and engagement before you can get to that point. But lots of accessibility points, the permittee status through the unions and guilds. And then there's the post-secondaries as well, which is also important that, we've got SAIT, University of Calgary, University of Art and Design here. We have got Red Deer College. We have got Lethbridge College, or University of Lethbridge. We also have the Banff Center. We have a variety of different institutions here, both degree and non-degree granting institutions that do training and development in film and television. And so there's lots of options and lots of opportunities depending on where you are at the moment in regards to your knowledge and abilities in the industry.
Oh, great. Hey, listen, you just listed down so many shout outs there, and I'll make sure I get those in the notes of the show here and so on. Again, the institutions from whether it's education and training and so on. And then you also talked about, whether it's through the trade unions and professional associations and so on. There's so many things you have to start with to develop that skill. And of course, the whole point of some of this conversation, at least some of the point, is that we were trying to attract those already very skilled people in storytelling that want to come to a location where they can find it easily accessed. The economic incentives are there. The beautiful backdrop is here. I mean, the facilities that are available to us and so on. So there's a lot to that answer. And hey, I appreciate you digging into that. That was probably meant for me. You never know. That question was probably meant for me somehow. I got to figure out how to get in there somehow, some way. There you go. It's pretty amazing talent that we have out here in Western Canada. Let's talk about this rate and now, if we can, Luke, which is what for the future here. Where we're kind of at right now. We're in an amazing. I'm going to even suggest a transition year, because we're coming out of those 2 years of where production was very, very difficult to do. And now we're sort of back to the point where it's getting, the next norm is here and it's a little easier. What are you optimistic about? What keeps you excited and hopeful and optimistic for this year and beyond? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I think there's a few things. First and foremost, this is just the beginning. This is our beginning. March 19th was when our incentive changed and made us globally competitive. So the fight of bringing production here has lessened a little bit, because they're looking. Obviously, incentives are important. They play a big part on where the selection of the production is done. And I want to clarify just a little bit on that, since I've brought it up, is the fact that incentives aren't. There's a long-standing commentary about where incentives go and how that's just enticing, companies that are billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar companies coming into your area. That's not exactly the case. Although those organizations are accessing that incentive money, that money is only paid out on Alberta. So whether it is Alberta talent, labor, goods or services, it has to be spent here to get anything back on it. We are not the largest incentives on the planet. Absolutely not. We're also not the lowest. So we play and we're in the middle, and we're competitive. And beyond that, there's a variety of things in this province that make us even more competitive, which is, no provincial sales tax or consumption tax, whatever you want to call it, doesn't exist in Alberta. The cost of doing business here is low. You can actually bring your family here and know that you're able to buy a house, know that you're able to support your family, and not have to work to live like you do in some other major cities. So there's a lot of opportunities from that perspective. And for me, as we start to develop, there's a few things that I look at. First and foremost, it's, we start looking at where we start creating these environments for succession, who the next voices are, who's coming up the ladder, how do we help them and support them so that their voice is being heard for years to come. So that's number one. So I didn't come into this job hoping that this was going to be, this many years. What I came into this job to do was to ensure that I gave back a little bit to the, for those that helped me. When I came through, there was a lot of people that opened up their minds and their hearts to me, and allowed me to learn a lot of things that are not easy, not stuff that you would go to. I spent time in places like the Banff Center and other locations that really did put me in a position where I learned a lot of things that that school couldn't teach you, and really did open up my eyes to a variety of the world that I hadn't had an opportunity to be part of prior to. So as I look down the path here, I just see this incredible amount of talent at all levels in this province coming up, and trying to facilitate and help. And when I travel to different places on the planet to showcase Alberta to the world, one of the things that happens is that I get an opportunity to meet others that are doing similar things in their world, and we talk about how we do things. We talk about what best practices are. We showcase what we do, and it's not a hidden thing. This is talking from the heart. This is what we do, this is why we do it, and this is what the outcome is. You couldn't do what I do as a job and not have the passion that you need to for this industry. It's not possible. It's so for me, it's what's exciting for me is watching this new generation of talent and knowing that I have an opportunity to help, to assist, to guide, to try to facilitate, so they don't have to go through the same landmines that I did, and putting them in a position that helps them be successful. That's and seeing that the growth potential here is so big. Yeah, that's exciting.
That is exciting. And again, we have so many wonderful television and film facilities here. I don't want to, I don't think I mentioned it as well, but I think there's like literally hundreds of thousands of square feet that are now, booked right now as we speak for productions, and again, incredible facilities, technology that is found here to draw people into the city. And you touched on something that was really super important as well, which is the ability for people to actually live their life, to come to a city where it's accessible, it's generally affordable. Some of these other, I know that it's strange times right now for when it comes to housing and things like that, but overall, generally speaking, you can still come here and have a high quality of life, support your family, and have this amazing backdrop for what you do and for what you love. So that is exciting stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that we touched on that as well. I think there was one thing I didn't ask you specifically, but I do want to ask this of you, and I'm conscious of the time because I know you have so many meetings, and I appreciate the fact that I was able to kind of grab you in between here. Your passion for this, where does that come from? Where does the passion come from? Because you can use your business savvy, if you will, in all kinds of different industries if you really wanted to. And you sound like you have this desire to want to give back and make a difference to, people that are up and coming, and like as you just said, learn things that you had to learn sort of the hard way. Where does that come from? Where's the passion for TV and the passion for movie, as opposed to passion for natural resources or other industries that you could be in?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm for the last 12 days now, so it's been tough on that.
It's all good. It's all good.
This is all I've ever done in my adult career. I've done nothing but film and television, so that's where the passion comes from. And like I said, my kids look at me and say, you're doing good for somebody else. You're helping people. You're doing the things. So that's what I bring to the table.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's that simple. I mean, when you're in it this long and you love what you do, and you recognize that your gift, if you will, not just your passion, but your gift is being able to help those that are coming up behind you and so on. Like you mentioned, your children and so on. This is where you're raising your family, and this is where you want to leave your legacy. And you're doing an amazing job, by the way, which is fantastic. I'm just learning more about it. I live in this city. And just doing my homework on Calgary Economic Development, going on to the website.com, everybody. Hey, you can learn just unbelievable things that are happening right here under your nose. And again, it's incentive-wise for people that are outside of our city to look at the website and see if there's things here that it would entice you to want to visit this part of the world. And again, come create and do storytelling and television, film, and again, digital content, gaming. There's all kinds of resources here that you can tap into and so on. Hey, Luke, before you go, we got to have some fun here. I'm not going to have you here just without not having any fun.
I knew that was coming.
Something had to come, right? We have to have a little bit of fun. I mean, come on, it's not all work. But normally what I do on these shows is a little thing called this or that, and it's normally has no theme to it. But today It's going to have a movie theme. I think we need a movie theme for today. So we're going to do a little this or that with Luke here, and it's a movie theme. So check it out. There it is. A little this or that. That's what we're going to do. This or that. And again, what's important here is that it's there's no right or wrong. Just we're going to get to know Luke a little bit better just by these questions. They're just, hey, I'll say one thing or another. You pick one of them. Simple as that. This is this or that special movie edition. We'll start with this: Spider-Man or Batman?
Batman.
Oh, why is that? Just
well, it's Batman. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's just as we grew up, this in my generation, he was the guy.
100%. I totally get that. Yeah, I love that. That's just because. How about this? Star Wars or Star Trek?
Wars. Star Wars was iconic. Being in the theater to watch that first one and watching those letters go across the screen with that music in the background, it's something you never forget in your life. So love Star Trek. Love the fact that Shatner played that point for so many years as a Canadian. And, I love that. But yeah, nothing like Star Wars.
I agree with you. Okay. I might have already gave this one away, but Kevin Costner or Clint Eastwood?
Eastwood.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay. So I guess you're not going to go to the parade.
Unforgiven. I'll be at the parade. No question. But Unforgiven.
Oh, that's true. I mean, that movie alone right there. Got it. How about this? Shawshank Redemption or Gladiator?
Shawshank.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies ever.
Me too. Totally relate to that. Yeah. I could watch that every time it comes on TV. I always say, oh, I'll just watch a little bit. I watch the whole thing. Doesn't matter where it starts. Doesn't matter. Totally get that. Forrest Gump or The Matrix?
Gump.
Okay.
Again, iconic. Matrix is great. Another Canadian starring in it, but yeah, it's Gump.
Yeah, there you go. Silence of the Lambs or Saving Private Ryan?
Ooh, that's two.
Yeah.
Huh. Again, probably Silence of the Lambs, just because it was so different. I mean, Private Ryan was amazing. I mean, but yeah, Lambs.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Back to the Future or Terminator?
Another Canadian leading that story. So Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's right up there. Like if I'm going to an island, that's probably that one, and Shawshank, as you said, but Back to the Future, the original one, come on, all day long. Casablanca or Wizard of Oz?
Wow. Casablanca.
Yeah. Have you watched
iconic? Both of them iconic, but I think from my perspective, I think Casablanca was just this incredible thing that the world saw.
Yeah. Do you watch a lot of classic movies, by the way? Just curious.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I like them.
Yeah, I must say, there's tons of movies I have not seen, and those two, by the way, haven't seen either one of them to the end. I swear to God, I know what they are. I know it's crazy. I need to sit down and watch all of it. How about this, actress wise, Meryl Streep or Jennifer Lawrence?
That's funny. Streep.
Wow. Yeah, it's hard to beat that record. Hard to beat that body of work. That's for sure.
Well, there's that. Lawrence is the new generation. I mean, she comes in with a whole different attitude and can take over and control things. I mean, Streep just because of that body of work, obviously, but Lawrence as well. She's going to be, she'll be in that same status when she's starting on ending her career. I think when she's gone through that amount of years. Yeah,
absolutely. And both, by the way, are welcome to Alberta. Come and shoot your next film.
Absolutely. Let me send you a package.
Yeah, totally. Right now, totally. How about this one for the movies here? And I'm talking about the original one of either of both of these: Top Gun or Die Hard.
Well, I mean, let's take the Christmas movie. Top Gun was amazing, but yeah, we're going with the Christmas movie for sure. Yeah.
I ask this question every year. It's funny you mentioned that because I always think of that. I ask people that a lot. So, do you think it's a Christmas movie? They go, absolutely. Some people go, no, of course not. But I agree with you. I think it is. There's no doubt about it. Now, normally, again, I ask some pretty heavier questions, so I don't want to leave you out of the fold. These are just a couple I want to make sure I get in with you because we didn't dig into you as the person on this show. We really want to dig into Calgary Economic Development and so on, but we'll do that another time. We'll do it over a pint first, and then after that, we'll do it on live and so on. Finish this one for me, or at least tell me this or that for this. Hope or freedom?
Well, I think when you have hope, I think freedom always plays a part. I think there's, for me, hope's important. It's hope. Yeah, for sure. Freedom's important, but hope is, without hope.
Yeah. No, hey, listen, there's no right or wrong. That's for sure. There's no right or wrong on that. All right, finish this sentence for me, my fine friend. I love my life because...
Say it again. I love my life.
I love my life because...
Because I've got an amazing family and amazing friends around me that I get the opportunity to learn from and to love every day.
There it is. That's the answer. I couldn't agree with you more, my friend. Couldn't agree with you more. My good friend, Luke, I knew this was going to be a great conversation. I know we run into each other a couple times again at those two events we just said. I said, I got to get this guy on. Talk about, he's in my backyard. It's crazy that we run into each other, and I don't get an opportunity to talk to you enough about this. But again, shed a lot of light on Southern Alberta and Calgary specific. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that, listen, the conversation is for everybody. You can come and visit us for all kinds of different reasons, storytelling, film and television as well, the Calgary Stampede, tourism in general. There's all kinds of different reasons to be here. Calgary Economic Development, if you go to the website, 𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗵𝗍𝗲𝗿𝗲𝗏.com, you can learn a lot more about that and see if there's something there that intrigues you to come up. But more than likely, just come on up and have a little pint and walk by the Bow River and come and check out the mountains. And I think this is an amazing place for anyone to want to look at. You want to add anything for an invite for anyone to come to Southern Alberta, Luke?
Well, I think you said it well here. I think the first step is just come and visit us. Yeah. Come and spend a little time here. See what people are like. See how inviting we are. Talk a little bit about our Western heritage, which we have, which encompasses a lot of things. Let's talk about our inclusivity. Let's talk about how welcoming this place is. And for us, that's not just a trait that we bring out when we have visitors. That's just the way we are. And I think that we embrace people coming here. We want to be helpful. We want to try to make it so that you can be part of our community, and no matter what sector that you're working in. And I think the outcomes will be more than worth it.
Absolutely. Super well said. Come visit us here, everybody. That's really the message. Come and see us, and then we'll take it from there with you. We'll take it from Absolutely. There. Good to see you, my friend. Can you stick around for a little bit? I'm going to play a quick video. I'll come and talk to you. I know you got to take off for another meeting. Everyone else who's joined us here today, or if you've watched it live or you watch on replay, thank you for showing up. We always appreciate that. You know that, and you know how this whole thing goes around here for us is how we end it. Just be kind out there, everybody. That's all you have to do. Just be kind out there. Just be kind. Luke, I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for showing up. Everybody else, here, I'm going to take you. Hey, this is a shout out to Richard Branson. All you guys over there want to bring your brand here and make a movie or something? Hey, talk about Virgin Galactic or something? Come on. Come make a movie here in Southern Alberta. I'm going to take you over to Necker Island for a little bit for Luke, and I'll see you on the other side. Take care, everybody. Cheers.